If you were raised by narcissistic parents, you probably don't really consider yourself as being raised, but rather you were trained. Have you ever felt like that? Leave me a comment whether or not you feel like you were raised or trained if you had narcissists in your family of origin. So, a lot of the time, narcissistic parents will instill this belief in their children that love is conditional. I will love you if whatever. You get good grades. You look good. You make me look good. You perform well at your, hobbies, sports, instruments. If you play the piano or the flute or you're a singer, if you perform well at these things, then you will have my love. And this has been made so much worse by social media because then these children grow up and they see, fortunately, I didn't have this aspect. I'm a bit old, I was there with MySpace. But these children grow up and they see their parents like posting these positive, moments of them on Facebook and Instagram and all of that and think like, oh, so when I do this, then mommy loves me, then daddy gives me attention and that sort of thing. And then the other, side of the sword on that one is that then these children grow up and they're like, I don't really like that you had that video or picture of me, on social media for the world to see. And so it's almost violating their privacy before they're even old enough to tell you that that was a violation of their privacy. I'm not saying that you shouldn't post things about your kids. I totally understand. And, I occasionally post things about my kids, but it's just something to be aware of. And especially if you were raised by narcissists, it can be the natural thing that you want to do. It can also be hard if you have narcissistic parents and other grandparents and they're posting pictures of your kids on there and you don't really like it. It can be hard to have those conversations, but one of the things you have to do when you have an immovable narcissist, they're in your family or they may be at work and you can't, get a new job. And one of the things you have to do is set boundaries. You have to do that for yourself so that you can keep your sanity. And in this case, it also might help protect your children. So the difference between being raised and trained, the way that you can train a dog, you tell them to sit and they sit. That can be important if you have a really big dog, but you know that they need to be trained to just act on command so that you can keep other people safe. But with your children, that's not going to really promote the best adulthood. Someone tells them to sit and then they'll sit because they were trained to. But the goal of parenting, and raising independent children is so that if someone is like, sit, they're like, I will, and they'll think about it. And then they can either choose to sit like, yes, thank you. I would like to sit now. Or they can think about it and be like, no, thank you. I'd rather stand. They can make a decision based on their own experiences and, how they're feeling. They don't have to do something just because it will make somebody else happy or, let them get love, which is also an illusion by itself. You can't actually make anybody else happy. You can't actually alter somebody else's state without their consent. You can do things that might inspire other people to feel happiness or to feel love or whatever, but ultimately that's going to come from the other person, which is why people pleasing can be so dangerous, because the people pleaser, and I know this personally, they think that they're getting joy from making other people happy. But the downside of that is that you never really make anybody happy. And then when that person gets sad, you feel like it's your fault. And you take that on yourself and you have that shame, not just guilt or blame, but shame. I am bad because I could not make that person feel good. And that can be really harmful to grow up with. So just something to be aware of, especially if you did have narcissists in your family of origin, be aware of that when you are raising children or even encountering like little cousins or nieces in your family who might be going through that experience. Allow them to see what a little dose of freedom is like. It's really important for them to be able to learn about the value of decision making and how they can do it themselves.